Hello, everybody. Angst here. Welcome back to the channel. I'm doing another one of these, this little project that it's kind of goes on hiatus every so often, but it's called Art Hedonia. The idea is to get someone that is schizoid and present their art, talk about it. They're here with us as well. And both me and Mile are going to ask questions about the pieces. I haven't seen them really or looked at them very much at all. Um, Mile has, so we kind of work differently. You've gone through them, right, Mile, yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
have.
I kind of just work stream of consciousness, as you already know if you watch my channel. So I'm just going to look at them and react to them. And then whatever questions or ideas pop into my head are what I'm going to talk about. If in fact anything does, which I'm hoping it will, which it always does anyway. So I'll be fine. In any case, today I'd like to welcome Gunny. Hello, Gunny. That's Gunny. And Gunny did some art, some arts, some creative things, and we're going to be looking at those today. And we will start right into it, unless either of you have something to say in particular, or do we just go
Yeah,
into
I
it?
thought
No.
Oh, go ahead.
I thought I just ask a few questions first,
Sure. Yeah, let's do
uh,
that.
like the big loaded question, and one of the main reasons we wanted to start Arthedonia in the first place,
Yes.
basically, is to ask ask schizoids, what does art mean to you personally, Connie?
Well, as it is nature of like these kind of big loaded questions, there's a lot of ways to look at it. Just art generally just way to share some aspect of human experience. And for me, I mean that's one of the few things that give me some joy or meaning. And but if you're asking like the act of drawing, it's it's kind of changed over the years. It started out as kind of obligation to give myself, but now it's just I also do just try to use it to vent or share some of my interests in an interesting way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is it something that helps you? Yeah.
Would it
Uh,
help? It I think this in large life me as a person it probably does. It gives me one just another thing that I could be doing or I have done. I guess I could have like a portfolio of art. I guess I've done, but depending on how I do it, if I'm giving obligations to myself, I don't think it really helps. Most of my art I was not enjoying doing, but some of them I think it that when I was like trying to vent through art, it does help.
You mentioned it feels like an obligation. Can you elaborate on that if you feel comfortable? Like, why
Yeah,
did you start making art? Why does it feel like an obligation to you?
I started doing art just like just on and off, just on a few scrap pages and stuff. Then my mother gifted me like a sketchbook, and I decided I am going to fill this entire thing in a year. So I with these kind of yes, most of my art came from this kind of I have a time frame. I'm gonna do this X amount of art, and that becomes obligation.
I'm curious, like, does the time frame, does it allow you to create the art that you want to, or does it detract from it? Like you said, you enjoyed some pieces, but not others. Does the time
Yeah,
frame make it not enjoyable?
it's I mean, as with most of this, it's a challenge. If I'm like ahead of time, then that's fine. But if I'm like falling behind or if I have to finish this art today, or I'm just gonna have even more tomorrow, that becomes just not easy to do,
Okay.
or fun to do rather.
Yeah.
I know a lot of schizoids struggle a lot with anhedonia, even when it comes to art. Is that something you struggle with when it comes to your art?
Yeah, which is like kind of reason why I did most of my art are from these kind of time-based projects. But if I
Okay,
don't,
yeah.
then it there's one particular piece it took half a year to do. I just didn't do them.
And that wasn't because it was just a lack of motivation to pick it back up again.
It's probably a bit of both. Like because I didn't necessarily enjoy creating art. If I were to make one, I needed some obligation set for myself.
Is
Interesting.
there anything in particular that inspires you, though?
Probably other art,
Yeah,
like
makes sense. Yeah.
the style I draw to begin with, like why I decided to start drawing was I thought this guy online, Peter Draws, he's on Instagram, on YouTube. He's a pretty weird guy, and he does this style what I'm starting to call doodle, where you just start randomly drawing meandering across the page and make some kind of structure image or
Okay. So there isn't like a intention at the beginning of it. It just kind of makes itself.
yeah. My art kind of separates into two categories, I would say, just that doodle thing and other I guess I guess you could call it abstract art, but I don't know how other people make abstract art. But anyway, the other one would be just kind of regular drawing. You start out with some kind of plan or idea,
Interesting.
which I started doing a bit more like as of late.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how that style would actually lend itself to feelings of not knowing where to start to begin with, or not having enough motivation to come up with a plan, and then just kind of allowing. It's like a stream of consciousness thing, but with drawing, which is it sounds really cool.
Okay, should
It,
we go into the first submission?
Sure. Are we ready? All right. Just want to
yeah.
see. All right. Cool. I wasn't sure if you had any more other questions for now. Let me see here. Yep. Let's go. Boom. There it is. That's the first one. I know, unfortunately, I didn't have names attached to the images. If you have any names for these, you're more than welcome to tell us, Gunny. Unless they don't have names, I'm not sure. But
They don't. I mean, I kind of make one up if I need to, like when I
no,
was
yeah,
posting
yeah,
on Instagram or something. I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
we'll just call this one Crab Lagoon.
Crab Lagoon. All
I
right.
remember I looked at this for a very long time because it has so many details, like with all this growth and rot. And it looks like there's a human carcass with a face gone. And it looks like this was done traditionally. Is that right?
Yeah, most of my art is done on a paper with like a felt tip pen with an ink. The big part of that is so I can't erase anything.
Interesting. So, if you make a mistake or something you might perceive as a mistake, do you just draw around it or work with it?
Yeah, that's kind of a big part of this whole doodle art style where it's Bob Ross thing. There's no mistakes, only happy accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Another Gunny's inspirations, Bob Ross.
I never
I
really
know.
watched him
I'm
anyway,
kidding.
but it's a good philosophy to go with it.
Let me see here, because like what I'm looking at here is I'm trying to. I like that I can't quite determine whether it's a structure or a formerly or currently living thing. I do like that. Can tell that there are living things on it or growth is coming from it. If in fact it is rotting, growth is definitely coming. I don't know what that thing on the left over here is. It's like a little bug or turtle, but for some reason my eye keeps being drawn toward the little guy. But I think it's maybe it's just me, but I think it's because of how much detail and kind of almost incoherent complexity and everything else that the little turtle or bug or whatever the hell it is on the left stands out to me because of its simplicity.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like how a lot of your stuff, it's like your brain can just about tell there's something there, and it feels familiar, but it can be unclear exactly what it is. And it reminds me of the album art from The Caretaker, like Everywhere at the End of Time, where the artist Ivan Seal purposefully painted shapes and things that our brains will find familiar, but it's not completely clear exactly what we're looking at. It has a
Mm.
similar vibe, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, there's just so many images in this. It does that thing to me that I get if I stare at a gravel like patchy ceiling or if I look at a carpet with like a kind of random pattern. It makes me want to make sense of the shapes when they might not necessarily have any. And that's what I find interesting. Like I see like multiple faces. That's my brain just making faces because that's what human brains do. I can't really
It's
see anything
interesting.
specific. Anyway,
It's
go ahead.
interesting that you guys mentioned like corpses and faces because I really don't see any.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. I mean, that goes to show
Yeah.
where our fucked up brains are at. And that might be like, um,
Yeah.
that we're
So,
seeing
what was
rot.
your thought? What was your thought process or the idea when you made this in your own words?
Well, so this is as with like kind of any of this kind of doodle sign, you just start at some point or line and just expand on it. Try to make it sense of it, like what this shape, what does this shape and this line intersect? Like what's in front of it, what's behind it? Is this more tentacle or some broad surface? I just keep expanding on it, and I ended
It's a
up drawing some
crab.
kind of tentacle, I think. So I see you would. I'll go with kind of marine theme,
I see the crabs
and
now.
yeah, that's the crabs.
Yeah, it's because I
Some
didn't recognize the left one as a crab, but then I saw the one on the right, and that one looked like a crab to me. And then I'm like, wait, is the other one a crab? And then I'm like, okay, they're crabs. Is the thing at the top a crab of the tentacle thing? Is that another crab?
yeah,
I thought it was
and
a
that's
flower.
why they're called crab lagoon.
I thought it was a flower this entire time because of the stem. It looks like a stem leading into the top of a flower. That's interesting.
Mm,
I made the assumption that those are stems, right? And that it's
mm,
growth, when in fact it might not be growth at all. Interesting.
yeah. I mean, it's like this whole process involves me trying to crank up the kind of pattern recognition part of my brain and just do small parts at a time. So it like it all the different shapes can come together to mean different things based on how you look at it because I haven't I had no like set
Yeah.
image in my mind when I'm drawing them.
Did you do the
Although
crabs
the
after?
crabs
Yeah, I was gonna say
after,
the
yes.
crabs after, right? That's so great. Yeah, I knew the crabs had to come after. That's interesting. So the only thing that was ever intentional were the crabs.
Yeah,
where you place them.
it's something I like to do. Have these things and draw some small creature.
That's cool. Any more thoughts on this one, Mila?
No, I don't think so. Not at the moment.
All
I
right.
mean, it's cool. I like looking at it.
Yeah, me too. I like looking at it. I feel like I can stare at it for a good while longer. Interesting.
It's not necessarily my best. It's one of the sketchbook project thingy art, and that I picked this one because I thought it was pretty representative of my earlier, more goofy style.
Goofy. And call it goofy. Call it interesting. I like that I can look at it from a different sort of angle and get an entirely different set of like pattern recognition in my brain. All right, let's go to the next one then. There we go. All right. Did you have
I
anything?
love that lizard.
I know the lizard's the best. He's so
He's
wholesome.
just
Look
a
at him.
little guy. He
Yeah.
looks so happy.
Yep.
This looks like a panel straight out of a manga.
Yeah, it
What was
does.
the idea for this one?
This one, as always, just random scribblings. This is the one that took 6 months to draw on a back of. I drew this on like a back of some assignment sheet or something. But I don't know where it is. I
I
tend to
really like
like
this.
when I was done with the sketchbook thing. I ended up just drawing random scraps of paper. I don't know if I even have it anymore.
Yeah. I love that I can't make sense of half of what's on this in this image. I think that's what I really enjoy. Like I can't I can and then the how it contrasts with the little guy who's clearly just an adorable little guy and everything else is just like my head just automatically wants to go junkyard, scrap metal heap. For some reason I'm seeing like letters in the shapes that it almost looks like you can make a word out if you were to like look at certain parts of it in certain angles because of the way it's set up. I can't tell if it's metal or organic. It's pretty cool.
I get autumn vibes.
It what?
Autumn.
Autumn, yeah.
I guess there's a bit of decaying litters stuff going on in the bottom.
You said autumn?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
season? That's what it makes you think of?
yeah. Fall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fall autumn. That's interesting. You see autumn. What makes you see autumn like for you?
I think it's because I see like leaves. I feel like I can imagine brown and yellow and orange colors in this.
Hmm.
It's interesting. Cuz like the large areas that look like there's nothing in them almost like this the tubes. This the one just the one kind of white space on the like middle right. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in my head I imagine those are pieces of metal like that don't have any other features sticking out of them. They're just like, stainless steel essentially and pipes and misshapen, bent. And then I see like it buried under a pile of junk. So it's like that part's just like a piece of metal sticking out, buried inside this pile of trash. Like remnants of like broken tech or something. I don't know. That's
Do
what
you
I
do
see.
everything with just one ink pen or do you use multiple?
Usually just one. Thinner one lends itself better to more details and such. I found that trying to do using multiple is I would only really do it to fill out black spaces. It because depending on which pen utensil I use, like it can vary the results widely.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Oh my. Um,
I think I think I remember seeing this one. It was
ye,
for Inktober or something, right?
Yep, 2022, I think, or yeah, I believe so.
I've never had the motivation for those. I don't know how you do it.
I mean, that was after like couple failed attempts. So this is Inktober 2022. I don't know which day, but the prompt was empty, and
mm,
at the time, I was pretty sure I was starting to have signs of depression and such, which I didn't really recognize, and it was me trying to force myself to draw, and it felt apt to draw myself in front of blank page.
Yeah, even when I can't see the person's face, I get this air of frustration from the position he's in. So that makes sense.
because of my it's kind of funny, an association with my like agoraphobia stuff. Like the image makes me uncomfortable because there's no backdrop, right? And so there's like this kind of weirdness, and the way he's hunched over, and the fact that it's called empty, like it gives me that like feeling of anxiety when faced with like a large open space, essentially a blank page of sorts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like it, but I mean, I don't like it at the same time, but for my own reasons.
Yeah. This whole when I was doing this whole Inktober, yeah, I ended up mixing up a lot of my usual doodle thing, but I still had to stick to a theme. So I did end up delving more into just more intentional drawing. So
Yeah.
it was one of early attempts.
Mm.
I You can see I don't know how to really draw a chair, but I think I managed to get across what I wanted to get across.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm really fixated on the blank space just because like all, the other two images were like so full of things to, but there's nothing I can see here other than just I just see the empty space. Not all art's supposed to make you feel good, I guess.
I'm just thinking it reminds me of when you're so hyper focused on something that everything else around just disappears.
Mm, that's a much that's a nice, very silver lining. God knows I know about that. All right, let's go to the next one here. Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, this one's intense.
Yeah, it
Yep.
is.
It's
What?
fan art of the web series called Worm by Wildbow, and this is the main character. It controls bugs, but people strangely does not draw bugs when doing fan art of her, so I drew bugs.
They don't draw the bugs when they do fan art, really, normally, even though they control bugs. I
Yeah,
wonder, I wonder why. Maybe a bug, are bugs hard to draw, probably. Usually, unless you're doing them like no, because you could just do this. I mean, it doesn't have to be like super detailed bugs. It feels like bugs. That's kind of what I like. I think I like it. It feels like bugs before you even said bugs.
It's because people are racist against bugs.
Oh, is
That's my
that it?
take.
Oh, okay. Species. Uh,
species.
speciesist. Yeah, there you go. Uh, it's funny because like I was thinking bugs, and even them, like I don't know if that's an arm what it is. Like it looks more like an appendage than like an arm. I don't know if it's an arm holding something on the left there, but
A knife.
a knife perhaps. But yeah, it feels like when I see it, it gives me that um like that itchy feeling in my neck. That's what it gives me.
Hmm. Yeah, I
That
started
could
to
be.
draw more like not out of just some project, just huge. Like, cause I'm a fan of like multiple series, and I wanted to contribute something to that fandom.
Are you gonna one day contribute to that anime everyone likes and I know you like too? Was it Freirian? What is that character? I can't.
Rayran.
Yeah, are you gonna do some Freirian
Uh,
fan art?
might try to draw some of the like, I guess the demons in the series, but
Yeah.
I have no plans as of now.
Okay.
So interestingly, people call this abstract, which I was like not really expecting.
I don't know that I see abstract. I just see a humanoid surrounded by what looks like specks, hair, bugs, sand. It feels, you know what, the best way I can if I could describe this image in one word, it would be swarm.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah. That's probably what gives me itchy. It's making me think of a bunch of crawling insects and flying locusts.
Yeah, so that got me thinking a little bit about like what is an abstract art, because like I started like kind of labeling my art as abstract, but I don't really feel like my art is abstract anymore. That's most of it anyway.
Okay,
This
This
so
is
is
the
the big
project.
project.
this is the big project. Okay, I heard about a big project. So, where would you like me to start with this project? Like, should I be
Uh,
reading the text
no,
document or
I'll I'll just explain the basic
sure,
premise of this project, and we can just kind of flip through. Although
sure.
I mean, I say it's a big project, but the art itself didn't take that long.
Yeah, that's not what makes a project big. Don't worry.
Yeah. So this was for the college course I had
Hmm.
of senior year last semester,
Hmm.
and this was like I was talking about I have had so far had like mostly just like science, math stuff, and this was more like humanity side of it. And I decided to kind of express my worldview, I guess, and my kind of art, the way I draw, kind of embody that pretty well.
Hmm.
So well, let me look it up. This whole project is called Lifelines and the Story of Violence. So basically, what I'm just the way the world is, I believe, is like it's just things, smaller things made of bigger, making of bigger things. These emergent shapes, patterns, and such, and those interact with each other, and they kind of build upon each other. And there's like no central object, and there's really even just saying an object, like there's no really such thing as a thing, really. We just decide to call it a thing. And, it's the way things evolve naturally, I believe. And we can kind of flip through a bit until we get to,
Sure. All right. So just flip through it like okay, so this is the second one.
yeah,
Okay, so I'm just trying to compare them here. So this is the second one. Is this the same? Is this on a separate piece of paper? Oh yeah, it
it's
is.
the same piece of paper, like just I
Oh, okay.
expanded a bit more and
Progress.
took a picture in
Got it, got it.
different locations that has like a lot of different, I guess, people
Possibilities.
and lives have gone by.
Yeah, it reminds me of. I mean, it's obviously not the same, but like, what's that? Since you're a STEM guy, what's that? What's the equation thing that makes the fractals? It makes the endless fractals. There's like a thing. It's like
I'm
it's a
not a
certain.
math guy. I know what you're
Uh,
talking about though.
yeah, okay, okay, yeah, because you're more of a bio guy. Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, right? It's that like specific. It creates like a specific image that like when like zoomed in upon with a computer, it just keeps creating further and further fractals that are just like create new images and so on and so forth, and it's like never ending. Yeah. But anyway, let me go to the next one here. So this is just progress essentially, right? Wait,
Yeah,
so okay.
of what I'm gonna be called, just abstractly calling lifelines.
Interesting. So how come it goes why do we have one here with the center filled and then we get to one with is that like another sheet of paper on top of it?
Yep, I glued a sheet of paper on it.
Interesting. And you got I like the touch with the the ripped bag of Doritos on the top.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Let me see here.
So here is where the story with capital S begins. It's 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 a particular view of the world that has a beginning and has like some division, which is why I put this on a boundary between grass and wood chips.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if because the backgrounds look intentional. Or with some thought like that you decide. So the placement itself is intentional. Okay, cool. It wasn't like you just set it down somewhere and took a picture. This is
I,
part. It's part
I
of
try
the
to,
thing, right?
yeah, but like I didn't put too much thought into it, except for like the later parts. Like first couple are just like where, it's a desk,
Hmm.
like dozens and dozens of students have stayed there. These little marks, their little paint drops and such,
Hmm.
which I'm considering as part of a more all these lifeline.
Okay, so you said the sheet of paper is it's like a layer
Yeah,
of is this like supposed to be the reality we pretend to comprehend or we think we comprehend?
it, it's we pretend is.
We pretend
It's
is. Oh.
there is, I guess, some on one example of this would be like you you land on some continent and you start colonizing. You
Hmm.
consider the land empty, but in the process you've like just kind of hidden away all these layer of interactions and like other lifelines, if you will.
Okay, there is no empty space essentially. It was always something there. Is that kind of?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Hey, Mealy, any thoughts on this?
Um, this is like one of those things where like I know what it's saying and it makes perfect sense, but I don't know how to put it into words myself.
But are you vibing with what he's saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like this. We have. Oh, cool. I can zoom in on it and everything. But we have words there. Okay. What are the words? Is this something you'd like me to read aloud, or does it make a difference? Like, your call.
We can. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. It's kind of similar with how the way I drew, and this is another thing the Peter Draws guy did. Is just continuously writing a sentence out and just only associating it with the word before it. So you just got a wordle, if you will.
Yeah. Well, let me read at least part of it here so we can get a taste of
Yeah.
what that is. Okay. So I'm just gonna go from the beginning here. Okay. Let's see here. The begging questions hanging heavily in the air went unnoticed as the beginning was declared by well-dressed men whose clothes were weaved by those who are not worth mentioning in the scared text of the story of how men rose above savagery and barbarism to conquer the wild and untamed nature so that the barren desert land may bear fruit once again with which men will gorge themselves and continue all important work to lift up the civilization out of the muck and mud and sludge and blood which flow through our veins and our veins of our bodies, transporting all that we desire and wash away the waste to be cast out, much in the same way our newly invented wheel turn and turn until Amazon 2-day delivery has been fulfilled, powered by internal combustion engine, turning and turning to release the ancient sunlight as we have done for the last 2 centuries, throughout which we saw unparalleled growth and progress that must continue to improve the lives of those starving children in Africa whose entrepreneurial spirit necessary to operate a successful leatherwork boot manufacturing company to mass produce bootstraps and an assembly line with which we will lift ourselves from the face of the planet Earth, the plant Earth. Interesting. Narrated.
It's just because it's
Oh, so much fun.
wrote it with pen. There's a lot of misspellings, but I just left it in there.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's better. By Sir David Attenborough, up to Marx and bootstrap fueled rocket ship and create a colony which is fundamental to the globalization of capitalist markets, where supplies and demands can hook up and fuck anyone unfortunate enough to have lived in the path of unnatural disasters, which have been the only thing that tricked down, with notable invisible exception of plastics in our garbage, in our landfill, in our ocean, in our fish, in our stomachs, in our bodies, which is suspected for drop in sperm count by 50% in the last 50 years, with projected children and men scenario by 2050, in which we will achieve net zero emissions. Oh man, that was I wasn't intent I wasn't gonna read the whole thing, but that was just too much fun. And very very kind of familiar. In the sense
Mhm.
that like well I talk about schizospectrum, and for me like reading that is just like it feels like how my brain unconsciously thinks about stuff. Like it'll just do that. It'll. The trick is to not believe all the connections I make as being highly subjective, valuable at every given point, but to kind of. But point is that style of writing is very relatable.
I see. I see.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Amelia?
It just makes sense. I don't know how else to say it. It makes sense.
Yeah, as I was reading it, it didn't like, even if it seemed disjointed, like to me it didn't. Like I was making, I don't know how you felt, Mila, but I was like making some of the, I could see where the connections were to these things, even if I couldn't quite word it. Like I could see how the next phrase matched with the next. And then the parts that I found funny were like, because I was kind of having a thought about things that were similar, and then the page said it, and I thought that was funny. But yeah, yeah, it's good stuff. All
Yeah,
right,
but
So
just basically stream of consciousness,
yeah,
yes, regarding environmentalism and stuff, because I'm pretty into that.
awesome. I
And kind of tying it back to kind of gets kind of message of the project, the way, because this is a writing, a language, it's it's already constrained by like what the language has, right?
mm-hmm.
Like grammatical rules and what letters and how it comes together.
Is that why it falls
And
apart at the end? Or sorry,
it's also a linear process
yeah.
instead of more kind of multiple nodes enter, constantly changing nature of it, and you can't really change it after you write it because that, you know, it's a linear progress of time, and you can't go back really.
May I ask?
And
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't
yeah,
know. No, no, go ahead.
and I'm just kind of as it kind of starts to fall apart, and I put in
Yeah.
more like in typos intentionally. So yeah, I did put some typos intentionally.
Oh, there's even more than what was in the other thing you gave me.
I think I did write out everything.
Oh, you did.
Maybe,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, I didn't even get to read it all. Oh man. Okay. I feel like I can't read it all now because I feel like I'd have to start over. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any. It just it'll stop making sense anymore to me because my
yeah.
thought process went somewhere else. Oh man, sorry, I fucked that up. But no, I really like I don't know if this is the case, but did you when it started kind of falling apart at the end there, did you start writing with your other not main hand?
But I did make it more sloppy.
Oh, for sure. Okay. Because it almost looks
Yeah,
like you wrote with your bad, like your right hand instead of your left, or your left instead of your right. It's interesting. I like it though.
yeah.
It didn't even finish
So
the
like
word.
poetry, and it's just trying to demonstrate how like this kind of, I guess, the story I'm calling tries to pretend it's going to go on forever, but they're like this method of, I guess, progress growth just is not can't go on.
It's not sustainable. Okay, and I'm
Yeah,
guessing that's why with the next image, is this a consequence of that?
yeah. I
Interesting.
guess the collapse of it.
What I find interesting is how it didn't just take out the layer it was on, but it took out the one behind it.
Yeah.
Um, Interesting. Any thoughts, Melee, on this one? That's cool shit.
I just love how it's like a frustrated word vomit, like someone's just so pent up and it just explodes.
Yeah, and then that made me think about how an individual can do that, but a species can do the same. Oh,
Yeah.
my stupid brain just starts going, oh, there's the layers, right? Like I'm like I go from the interpersonal to the civilization wide to the species wide level of like frustration that could essentially lead to multi-layered collapses. That's cool.
And on this, I put it against backdrop of a concrete floor, just as kind of more barren wasteland feel.
No, for sure. But even then, there's life there too. Huh? It's
Yeah,
interesting. And the cracks. I really like this.
I know you included a music file in this. I don't think we can play it on video, but we can put
yeah.
some kind of link.
It's called "When I Was Done Dying" by Dan Deacon. I think that's his name. It's got the similar feel of like kind of continuous world salad that keeps
All
going
right.
on, and
We'll put a link too for sure.
it's one of my favorite songs, and I listened to it throughout the song, and I decided to just include it in the project file as just another piece of lifeline.
Okay, so here we're on the last one, I believe.
Yep,
Interesting. Interesting. Do you happen to know what kind of growth that is?
mushroom.
Well, yeah, but I thought maybe you know what kind of mushroom. I don't know. I don't know my mushrooms.
Nope. There's no, mycology is like very hard to find like place where you can study it in. People only study it in conjunction with like plant, like how to make mycorrhizal biome stuff that improve crop productivity and stuff.
So my college is pretty niche,
There's like
even within
only
STEM.
a handful of places where that they study just fungi
It's
by
so funny
themselves.
because of how like potentially important they are, right? Is what makes it interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is a chopped up log with a mushroom growing on the side of it, and that felt was hopeful note to end things on.
Yeah, life finds a way.
Yeah,
Classic.
that's what I'm hoping things will turn out.
Yeah, well, life always does. Even if it's not on our planet, it'll be on a different one. Um, this is just so interesting. What I like about it so much is how if I were to like crop the page out like without the background, it's hard to tell whether or not, at least based on the image here, whether or not it's. I know this is gonna sound weird, but like it almost looks like a picture on top of a layer, like
Oh, it
or
kind of does.
yeah, it kind of looks like it's part either it's on top of, but it just looks like it's a part of the sheet. Like it doesn't look like it blends together here, right? I don't see the space, you get me? Between the, because of the position it's in, because of the image. So it looks like it's just part of the same image. The only thing that gives it away is the background. Were you to remove that, I couldn't tell 100% that this is something behind it. Does that make sense?
It kind of looks like some scrapbooked it or something.
Yeah, like it's scrapbooked in, but we know it's not. So it's really interesting. I really like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Then again,
After I was
yeah,
done taking the photo, I threw the piece into recycling bin nearby.
that's so rad. That's really cool. That's really fucking cool, Gunny.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
that,
So
yeah.
this kind of wrap up my art
Hmm.
journey thus far. I kind of started out as just to have a hobby and specifically use the kind of doodle and ink so that because at the time I thought that my issue was perfectionism, and to combat that directly, I started just doodling and stuff, and it kind of as my kind of worldview evolved out, I kind of realized the way I draw things is kind of practice, like acting out the process of life.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. And this is kind of embodiment. The project is kind of like pretty explicitly saying it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I just you have me thinking about how the art style that kind of originally inspired you is essentially similar, or how stream of consciousness is essentially similar in in the way that say mushroom would grow on a log.
Yeah,
It doesn't have a specific plan in mind as to what parts of the log, where and how, and necessarily we might not even have a complete answer as to what shape the fungus will take, and
yeah,
how much it will grow, and in what sections it will just, where will emerge or not emerge. Like it's just kind of cool. Yeah, I dig it. It kind of joins up with the whole thing. I couldn't think of a better like um background or type of life to depict this than fungi. It's interesting.
hmm
It's funny because I hate fungi so much. I don't hate them, like I just they give me the heebie-jeebies every fucking time. It's some mammalian part of my brain scares me. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Melee, anything you wanted to throw out there before we wrap this up?
I wanted to ask, do you have any art related goals in the future, or are you just gonna keep doing what you do?
I'm probably continue making fan art if any particular series or whatever inspires me, and I'll still doodle here and there. Although I think I might be drawing a lot more once I go into the army, because I will have nothing to do in there.
Is there
Right.
anything you want to promote here at the end, or any final words?
I mean, I quit most social media, but I do have Tumblr, Doodling Gunny,
All right, we'll
with
post
two
the link
G's
in
combined.
we'll post the link in the bottom there for that too.
All right.
Yeah, I mean that's a cool thing. You can keep doodling, you can keep taking pictures even when you're in the military, right? You'll still have a
Yeah.
phone, so you can still go ahead and do that. All right, Gunny. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, and Mile. Thank you, Mile, of course, for being here, helping out, and having those awesome questions that really kind of help move things along. And I hope you do continue doing what you do there, Gunny. And hopefully, we can do one day do another episode of Art Hedonia on this channel. And if you like the work I do, if you like this, if you like the server, if you like any of that, please support me on Patreon. You can also support me through PayPal and support the project and everything else I'm kind of involved in that way. And if you're on the server itself, you could always subscribe to the server, and that's actually a really helpful way to
Should
move things
I
along.
should I promote my server here
Hell yeah,
as
do it.
well
Hell yeah,
for
you're
the
here. Do it. Chill. Plug
yeah
away.
I have a server where you can share art or chill called Creative Meets, and you can even submit things for this Artheronia series if you want to. There's a small submission process, short and simple. So yeah.
I thought you were gonna say I thought you were gonna get all entrepreneurial and be like, "There's a small submission fee." I'm like, "Whoa, where'd this come from?" I'm kidding. All right, start
Yeah,
charging
of
people.
course, I want your
We're
money.
not big enough yet to start charging them. We're gonna kidding. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys, and well, we'll see you on the next one.